I spent the better part of 20 years trying to turn my older brother into a better brother, and I failed at it every single day for 20 years. And the worst part is, I did not even notice I was doing it. I thought I was just loving him. I was not. I was working on him, quietly, the way you work on a house that is never quite finished, and it was wearing me down to nothing, and it was not doing one thing to him. Then an old man said something to me that took the whole weight off my back in about 10 seconds, and I need to be careful how I say it, because it is not. People cannot change, so give up on them. It is almost the opposite of that. But if I hand it to you in the first minute, it will sound cold and hard, and you would be right to click away. So let me earn it. And along the way, I will give you the 3 kinds of people I finally learned to recognize as ones who will not change. And the third kind surprised me more than I can tell you. Let me say the honest part first, because I think a lot of you are carrying this and have never said it out loud to another soul. There is someone in your life right now that you are trying to fix, and I want to be careful because you probably would not use that word. You would say you are worried about them, or you want the best for them, or you just wish they would see what everyone else can see. But underneath all of that gentle language, there is a project. There is a person you have quietly decided you cannot be fully at peace until they become. A husband who would finally open up. A daughter who would finally choose better. A brother who would finally grow up. And every day that they stay exactly who they are, a little piece of you is disappointed all over again. And you have been paying that tax for years, maybe for decades, and you have gotten so used to paying it that you do not even feel it as a weight anymore. It is just the low hum your life makes. I paid it on my brother. He was careless with people. He was careless with money, careless with promises, the kind of man who would forget your birthday and then be genuinely hurt that you were hurt. And I loved him, and I could see so clearly the better man he was supposed to be that it felt almost like my job to get him there. So I coached. I hinted. I had the big talks. I gave him the books. I gave him the silences that were supposed to make him think. And year after year after year, he stayed exactly, precisely himself, and I stayed exactly, precisely exhausted. Now the old man I mentioned did not tell me my brother was hopeless. Hold on to that, because it is the hinge of this whole thing, and I am going to keep it just out of reach a little longer, because first you need the 3 kinds, or the ending will not land the way it landed on me. Here is the first kind of person who will not change. The first kind does not think anything is wrong. That is the whole thing. You are standing there with a list of repairs, and they are standing there in a house they find perfectly comfortable. They are not resisting change out of stubbornness. They simply do not see the problem you see, because from the inside of their life it is not a problem. It is just how things are. It is just who they are, and it may even be something they like about themselves. My brother did not experience his own carelessness as a flaw. He experienced it as being easygoing, as not sweating the small stuff, and some people around him actually loved him for it. You cannot fix a leak that the other person experiences as a window. And the more you point at it, the more they feel judged for the shape of their own house. This is the most common kind by far, and the hardest for a loving person to accept, because we assume that if they could just SEE it, they would want to change it. But they do see it. They just do not see it as broken. And I will come back to what you actually do about that, because it is not what you think. I had a neighbor for many years, a good woman who talked about everyone. Every visit, she had a full report on who had done what to whom, delivered like she was doing you a service. Her daughters were forever after her about it, gently, then not so gently because it embarrassed them, and she genuinely could not understand what the fuss was. To her, she was not gossiping. She was staying interested in people. She was keeping up. She was, in her own mind, the opposite of one of those cold women who does not care about her neighbors. You could have brought her 100 sermons on the evils of gossip, and every one of them would have slid right off, because you would have been preaching against a sin she does not commit. She does not have a gossip. She has a warm and social nature. Do you see it? The very trait the daughters wanted gone was, from the inside, one of the things she was proudest of. That is the first kind, and pushing on that person does not produce change. It only produces a person who now feels that their own children look down on who they are. Let me pause here, because I can feel some of you already arguing with me, already thinking, but some things really are wrong and really do need to change. You are right. Keep that thought. I am going to deal with it directly near the end, because there is a line here that matters more than almost anything else I am going to say, and I do not want you to walk away with only half of this. Stay with me for that. Here is the second kind. The second kind sees the problem perfectly well. They are not blind to it at all. But for them, the thing you want them to give up is quietly paying them something, and it is paying them more than the change would. This one took me years to understand. There is a reason people keep doing the thing that is hurting them, and it is almost never that they are stupid or weak. It is that the thing is doing a job. The drink is quieting something. The temper is keeping people at a safe distance so they never get close enough to leave. The endless working is letting a man avoid a marriage he does not know how to be in. When someone will not put a thing down even though they can plainly see it is costing them, it is because that thing is also secretly holding something up, and until that hidden thing is faced, the visible thing does not move. I knew a man once whose temper had cost him 2 marriages and most of his friendships, and he knew it. He was not one of the blind ones. He could tell you chapter and verse what his anger had done to his life. And still it did not move, year after year, and everyone around him decided he simply loved being angry, which was not true at all. What I came to understand about him much later was that his father had walked out on him when he was small, without a word, and somewhere down deep that little boy had decided that if he made himself sharp enough and hard enough, he would never again be in a room with someone long enough to be left. His temper was not a flaw he enjoyed. It was a wall he had built as a child to keep from being abandoned, and every time somebody tried to knock the wall down by telling him to just calm down, some frightened part of him gripped it tighter, because to him that wall was the only thing that had ever kept him safe. You will never argue a person out of a wall like that. Only they can decide, in their own time, that they are finally safe enough to take it down a stone at a time. And here is the hard news for you and me, the fixers. That hidden work is not work we can do for them. We cannot reach in and carry it. We can love them while they carry it, if they ever choose to, but the carrying is theirs. I could no more resolve whatever my brother was protecting with his carelessness than I could digest his dinner for him. And now the third kind, which is the one that undid me because I had been living with it for years and had it completely backwards. The third kind of person who will never change is the person who already has, and you did not notice because they did not change into the specific thing you ordered. Let me say that again, slowly, because it went through me like cold water the day I understood it. Some of the people we are exhausting ourselves trying to change have already changed enormously, just not along the one line we were watching. My brother, over those same 20 years, had become gentler with his own children than our father ever was with us. He had become the man every neighbor called when their truck broke down at midnight. He had grown in 10 directions. I never gave him 1 ounce of credit for, because I had my eyes locked on the single thing I had decided he needed to fix, and I was so busy being disappointed about that one thing that I never once told him how much he had actually grown. I was standing in front of a tree that had put out 100 new branches, complaining that one particular branch was still crooked. The failure to change was not always in them. Sometimes it was in my eyes. Sometimes the person had moved a mountain, and I was still standing there tapping my foot at a pebble. So there are your three: the one who does not see it as broken, the one who is being paid by it more than the cure would pay, and the one who has already changed in every direction except the exact one you were guarding. And I want you to notice something that is true of all three of them, because it is the thing that finally set me free. In every single one of those three cases, the exhaustion was not coming from them. Look at it again. The first person is comfortable in their own house. The second person is quietly protecting an old wound. The third person has been growing the whole time. In all three, the other person is not the one who is suffering over this. They are living their life. The only one worn down to the bone is the one standing outside with the toolbox, waiting, correcting, hoping, being disappointed on a schedule. It was never their unchanging that was hurting me. It was my own unending campaign to change them. I was not the victim of who my brother was. I was the volunteer in a war he did not even know we were fighting. And once I saw that I was the one who had signed up, I understood for the first time that I was also the one who was allowed to stand down. Now I have to keep my promise and give you the thing the old man gave me, and deal with the line I told you mattered more than anything, the one for those of you sitting there thinking, but some things are truly wrong. Here is what he said to me. He said, "You are trying to be the weather for a man, and no one gets to be the weather." He let that sit, and then he said, "You can want the rain to stop all you like, but the sky does not answer to your wanting. A wise man does not stand in the field arguing with the clouds. He watches the sky honestly. He sees what kind of day it actually is, not the day he wishes it were, and then he decides what he is going to wear and where he is going to walk. That is all. And I want you to hear what he was and was not saying, because this is the whole of it. He was not saying the weather does not matter. He was not saying stand out in the storm and let it ruin you. He was saying, stop pretending your love is a force that can change another person's fundamental sky, because it is not, and the exhaustion you feel is the exhaustion of a person who has taken a job that was never available to be taken. Your love is real, and it is powerful, but its power was never to remake somebody. Its power is to see them clearly and stay warm anyway, or to see them clearly and step back to safety, but always, always to start by seeing what is actually there instead of what you have been trying to install. And here is that line, and please do not miss it, because the shallow version of this teaching has hurt a lot of people. Accepting that someone will not change is not the same as agreeing to be harmed by them. If a person's unchanging weather is cruelty or contempt or a hand that is raised against you, then seeing them clearly does not mean standing in it. It means the opposite. It means you finally stop waiting for the storm to become a spring day so that you are allowed to go indoors. You are allowed to go indoors now. You can love someone and keep a door between you. You can wish someone well from a distance you have chosen for your own safety. Acceptance is not a synonym for endurance. It is the end of pretending, and sometimes the truest thing that clear sight tells you is that you must protect yourself, and that is not a failure of love, it is the maturity of it. But for most of us, most of the time, the person is not dangerous. The person is just human and flawed, and themselves the way we are human and flawed, and ourselves to the people who have spent years quietly wishing we were different. And for those people, the ordinary, difficult, beloved ones, here is what changed everything for me. I stopped working on my brother. I just stopped. I did not announce it. I did not have a big talk about it. I did not forgive him in some grand ceremony. I simply put down the tools one ordinary afternoon and I decided to find out what it was like to just be his brother instead of his contractor. And I will tell you what happened, because it is the part people do not believe. He did not get worse. The thing I had been afraid of, that if I stopped pushing, he would just sink, never happened. If anything, he came a little closer. Because for the first time in decades, he was around a person who was not quietly trying to renovate him. And I got something back that I had traded away without knowing it. I got the actual man, not the finished version I had been waiting 20 years to meet. The real one, crooked branch and 100 new branches and all. I got maybe 8 good years of my brother as he actually was before he passed. 8 years I would have spent disappointed if that old man had not told me to stop arguing with the sky. I nearly missed my own brother because I was so busy waiting for a better one to arrive. So here is what I would ask of you, and it is small, and you can do it this week. Think of the one person. You already know who it is. You knew before I finished the first sentence of this whole talk. And just once this week, spend an hour with them, or make one phone call to them, in which you are not working on them at all. No hint, no teaching silence, no little course correction. Just be with the person who is actually there, the real one, the one who exists, and notice, honestly, everything they have already become that you have been too busy to see. You do not have to approve of everything. You just have to stop for 1 hour trying to install the update. See what it is like. See if the weight you have been carrying so long you forgot it was there lifts even a little. You cannot change them. You were never able to. But you can stop losing your own years waiting, and you can love the person who is actually in front of you instead of the one you keep hoping will show up. Watch the sky honestly, dress for the day that is actually here, and go walk in it while you still can. Rest well tonight,